Okay, time to answer that age-old question, series or parallel. But before we go any further, I'm going to put a link to a video in my description. And I want you to pause this video, go open that one up in the new window and watch it. And once you've done that, we'll come back and we'll tell you what happened and what went wrong. So the video is by a guy by the name of Justin. Him, his wife and his 3 children travel around Australia in a van. Their video series is called Trip in a Van. I believe that's their video channel, their YouTube channel name as well, Trip in a Van. And these guys will take you around Australia and show you some awesome spots. They do a fantastic job, and they do it on their own. They don't have camera crews chasing them, telling them what to say, what to do. They do it by themselves, and they do an excellent job, and they're the best videos on the net about travelling around Australia, enjoying what Australia has to offer in the way of campgrounds and beaches and caravan parks, etc, etc. So in no way does the video I linked reflect on Justin's knowledge in solar. He was only told by Enerdrive what to say, what to show, and the results that went through it. He is only as good as the experts that are telling him and showing him what is best and what is not. Unfortunately, Enerdrive got it wrong in this case. So go and watch that video, come back and we'll explain what went wrong. Okay, so you've gone and watched that video. Now we're going to explain what went wrong. And the bottom line is, as you've seen, they hooked the panels in series and put a hat over one cell on one corner of one panel and lost the whole array. So the reason it did that, very simply, shit panels, no question about it. We have 2 good panels, and we're going to see if the same thing happens. So what is better, series or parallel connected? Definitely, hands down winner, series connect, always. And the caveat is, use good panels, don't use crap panels like you've seen in the video. And the drive needs a slap in the wrist. So that's actually bad information, that video, because it's incorrect. It's series connect all the time when there's 2 or more panels, not parallel. One reason is, all up, let's say we've got 20 metres of cable, the cable that links the panels together and the cable that goes from those links down to your charge controller in the glove box of your Caravan quite easily adds up to 20 metres. And don't forget, there's 2 wires in there. So even if it's 10 metres, you've still got 20 metres. 10 metres positive, 10 metres negative, and that cable has a resistance. So let's say, for example, that resistance is 1 ohm. Each one of our panels can deliver 12 amps. We hook them up in parallel, 2 panels. We've got 24 amps running through that cable. We're losing 24 watts of power by the way of heat or ohmic losses in those cables. When you series connect panels, you double the voltage but you retain the current value of one panel only. So the output power is exactly the same. It's volts times amps equals watts. So now we've only got 12 amps running through all that cable and we only lose 12 watts. Second reason is series connected panels gives you a higher voltage going into your charge controller and will start charging your batteries earlier in the morning, later at evening, and a lot better during cloudy days or overcast days. So basically they work better in series in low light levels than parallel panels do. Alright, so we are paralleled at the moment. As you can see, we've got our parallel blocks joined in there. We'll go a bit closer in so we can see what's going on here. Now, you like my hat? I'm sweating like a dog here. Anyway, we have this here to keep the sun off my nice black inverter, which got terribly hot within about 10 minutes. The fans come on, didn't even have a load on it. So all this is doing is keeping the sun off our inverter, keeping it cool. As you've seen in the previous video, we've just got our little fan here running, and that's providing a bit of a load on our inverter. Cable out the way, and the other lead coming off the inverter is keeping my camera charged. Alrighty, so as I said, and as you can see at the moment with the blocks, we are parallel connected, and we'll grab our little meter, good old MT50 here, switch her on. So at the moment, I hope the sun's not going to play too much havoc with us. Looks like it is. Sorry about that, not much I can do about it. 8.1 amps at 13.8 volts in the battery, pretty low load on it. And our array voltage is 18.9 volts at 6 amps. So that's parallel connected, so we're going to block off one panel completely, like yay. Oh, of course, now the wind comes and that blows the cardboard block away. Try that again, and we'll get the timber and sit up against it. Hopefully that'll help. Okay, so one panel now is completely covered top to bottom. So we'll grab out, we'll do that here. Once again, we can see 6.7 amps, 13.7 volts from the one panel. So the reason it was only 8 amps before is because the batteries are nearly full. Really need to place a heavier load, but the batteries are nearly full, so the charge controller is ramping down. What we're going to do now is we're going to series connect the panels, move our cardboard, we'll turn the panels off. So as we can see there, they've gone nighty night, the moon's out. And now we're going to series connect them up here so you can see what's going on. So what you basically have to do, one of these is very tight, I don't know why, is disconnect one from one. One from the other, like so. And now we need these two as well. So I knew that was going to happen. We'll just disconnect it all and we'll start again. Okay, so our cables now go like so. One panel positive goes into the other panel negative, and then it's just positive to positive into your charge controller, negative to negative. Alright, and then we switch our solar back on. So now we are series connected. If we grab our MT50 box here again, the sun is a definite pain in the bum. Okay, so you see 43.5 volts. Now the charge controller is sorting itself out at the moment. We'll see some action starting to trace. Yibbida. Takes a little while. You can see it ramping up now, I hope. Trying to get it out of the shadows for you. Now she's kicking in, once again 8.6 amps, 10.9 amps. So it's doing a little better than it was before, because the MPPT charge controllers are designed for a higher voltage. They're more efficient at a higher voltage because less current, less heat to sort out. Alright, so now the big old question is what happens now when we completely block one panel off, which we're going to do as we did before, and as you've seen in the video before, even one corner dropped the whole system and got nothing. And we'll have a look here, and you're going to see 0.2 amps, and you're going, ha, same thing happened. Let's just give the tracer some time to sort its shit out. And that's what maximum power point tracking is all about. It tracks the amount of energy coming from the solar panel, adjusts itself so it can deliver the maximum amount of energy to your batteries with what it has. So it's 6.6 amps now. .8. .9. So we're doing 6.9 amps. Well, there's 7 amps now. 13.4 volts. So as you can see, when you use the correct panels, that one is completely covered. Doesn't just have a hat placed over the corner of one cell, it's completely covered, and we are still pumping in 7 amps, 7.1 at 13.5 volts. So it's all about using the correct gear to do the right job. Nothing to do. I'm going to take that off. Let me see if I can get you right over the MT50 box here. Screw that around a bit. Zoom you in a tad. Like so. See some numbers here. I'll remove the cover from that solar panel. And we'll wait for the charge controller to track up. And 7.8. And like I said, the input current is low because the battery is very close to float voltage, which is 13.8 volts. So of course, the more you pull the battery down, the harder this is going to charge. 12 amps in each panel, so 200 watts each. We could expect a maximum output power of those of 400 watts. If it's so required, that amount. So 11.9 amps now, nearly 12 amps at 14.4 volts. The battery's very close to full voltage. Once they get to about 14.8, it'll go down into float mode, but because we've got a load on the inverter, only a small load, it's probably about 100 watts, I think that draws flat out, that fan. It of course won't put the full amount of power into the batteries from the panels. What we're going to do now is, because the sun is going to be behind the trees within the next hour of that, I'm going to switch all this back to parallel connect, and we're going to let it keep going until the light is that low that it cannot charge anymore, and then we're going to hook them in series and see what happens. Okay, so just about knackered here. Light level is very low. It's gone into sleep mode, because what happens is the panel voltage drops down below the battery voltage in parallel, and of course it will no longer charge. So we'll turn our solar off and swap all this over to series connect now and see what happens. I didn't quite catch it, I wanted to get out here a bit earlier, so that was around about at least 100 milliamps. But my mother's come over for dinner and we've been talking to her and her new home that she'll be moving into soon, organising things there to get her in her new house, everything shifted. And by the time I got back out here, it had already stopped, so I did miss it, but such is life. I'll hook these back up in series like so. As you can see, we're now series connected. Blocks are sitting there on the battery. Turn our solar back on and hopefully, unless it's going to make a liar out of me. Oh, that was zoomed in way too far. We should see some action again. Now it's not a great difference, but as you can see, hopefully, we are charging again. Turn the backlight on, that didn't make much difference, a little bit. So you can see we had 25.2 volts there. The tracker or the tracer is finding its maximum power point. 0.4 of an amp still going in. But yeah, what happens when the light drops down far enough, each panel may only put out 12 volts instead of the 18 they're supposed to in full sunlight. When you're parallel connected, you end up with that 12 volts. Now 12 volts is not going to charge a battery that's at 12.9. So as soon as those panel voltages drop down to or below the battery voltage, due to the drop in light level, of course it's not going to charge. So by hooking them up in series, you're lifting that voltage back up, so the potential difference between the panels and the battery grows again. So now we can get power to flow from the panels to the batteries. Now it's not a lot, as you can see, it's only 0.3 of an amp, but the thing is that'll continue on for another hour or so until that drops down to virtually nothing. It basically gives you in summer perhaps 2 more hours during the day where your panels actually are putting something into your battery, and everything helps. Of course, the bigger the panels you go, the more in series you go. If we put another panel in series, had 3 panels in series, we lift that voltage up again, and it'll work in even lower light levels. So it's all about maintaining a high voltage, so it's the voltage from the panels is greater than the voltage of the battery, and that way you'll always get a charge. So there you go. That answers the questions. We provide proof to back up that answer, and always series connect your panels with the caveat that you don't use cheap ass panels, and I'm going to show you the difference between cheap ass and good panels. Cheap ass panels you can't hook in series because, as you see in that video, you shade just one cell of the whole panel, a whole lot drops out. So now we're going to go and have a look why that happens. I've got to spin the panel around and rip the cover off the back and we'll show you. Okay, so signs of a good panel. First, let's have a look down here. These are the atom power panels, monocrystalline of course, and you'll see maximum power 200 watts, and this panel gives us the voltage and the current and also maximum working voltage, which is 18.2 volts at 11.7 amps. So we get a 200 watt panel. El Cheapo eBay panels will give you the voltage and they won't give you the current, and they'll sell a 60 watt panel as 120 watts, and they get away with it because you can't see what it actually is. With this panel we can actually see what it is, because it's got all the values on there. So one thing to look for now, a good panel also has inside this box, we'll open it up. As you can see here, nice seal around the lid, and that does push on pretty tight. Now what we want to look at and find in here is these things. So they're called diodes, and in this situation they're called a bypass diode. See if we'll zoom in a little closer there. Okay, bypass diodes. This panel has them in there. The ones you've seen in the other video where the series connected panels died in the arse just by covering one cell, did not have these. Cheap panel. So what these do is, if one cell drops out or is covered like we've seen, it allows the current to flow through the diodes and back out. So these are like a one-way valve. Current can't flow that way, can flow this way. So, and yes, current does flow from the negative to the positive. That is true current flow. Conventional current flow says it flows from the positive to the negative, but as we can see here, current flows through the diodes this way, and that's what allows you to have one panel fully blocked off, not just one little corner, completely blocked off, and the other panel will keep on doing its job because it can bypass this panel straight through these diodes. So that's what you've got to look for. Normally it'll give it to you in the description. Make sure the description says that the panel has bypass diodes, and that allows you to series connect the panels. These ones here, as we've seen there, where is it? Zoom out a bit. 11.7 amps. So when you series connect it, you retain that 11.7 amps, but you double the working voltage. The voltage of each panel gets added on and on and on, and the current remains the same. So the current travelling through these cables, all 20 metres of it, is only going to be 11.7 amps. But if we hook them up in parallel, we're going to have double the current and half the voltage, or double the current and the voltage of the panel. So every panel hooked up, we're always going to have 18.2 volts at the maximum working voltage, but we double our current, so we'll have 23.4 amps. Sorry. So that means you're then dissipating more power, or double the power through the cables. You're losing that. You can't get it back. It's gone as heat, waste heat. So there you have it. Series or parallel? Series wins always, with the caveat that you use good quality panels. And these are good quality panels. Never had one come back, and I've been using them for many years now. So, and as you see, they've got everything we need. All the information we need here to know that it's 200 watts, which is volts and amps, and we have the needed bypass diodes when we want to hook them up in series. So I hope that answers the question. Series or parallel? Series is the way to go, can't be beaten, gives you more power output through the day, and you lose less through all your wiring. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next video. Not sure what the next video is going to be about. Anyone wants to know anything about solar, how to do this, how to do that, feel free to ask in the comments, and I will make a video for you and show you how to do it. Cheers.